Good morning. How are you all today? Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I am Steve Smith, and I want to talk about the war that is already here. The war is in the homeland. It may not be the one that you're thinking about, but it's the one that is here, and most people aren't paying real close attention to it, and they should, and you should. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say something at the end of this probably that many people aren't ready to hear. So hang with me on that. Before we get started, I want to remind you that this and all of my videos are brought to you by our sponsor, the Stonemont series. Our sponsor because I wrote them. Yes, I did. The Stonemont series, the complete guide to preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a total collapse of everything. The way to get them is down below, either through Amazon or through our website, stonemont.us. If you haven't read them yet, you should. It should be the very next thing that you do. You will learn things that you can't imagine in here. I guarantee you that. Plus, you'll love the story. Now, I want to give you a warning about these. I'll give you that warning towards the end, okay? But I wanted to get started on this. Nick Rosio. I'm not sure. I haven't met him in person, so I haven't heard how he pronounces his name. But I'm assuming it's Nick Rosio or Nick Rosio or something like that. Nick, if I'm mispronouncing your name, I apologize. I certainly don't mean to. And he asked if he could post something on the Patreon channel, a video. And you can also, if you're on Patreon, you can post stuff in the comments. That's fine. I just don't allow them on YouTube. We just have too many people. Let me just say this: the YouTube audience is not as well, let me just say that I have trouble, okay, when I let people post links and things like that in the comments on YouTube, and I never have any trouble over on Patreon. If you're not with us on Patreon, you ought to be. Cost you $1 a month, or you can do the $5, I don't care. Join us and you'll get a lot more stuff. But anyway, and that link's down below too. And if you're not willing to spend $1 for, your preparedness, I don't know what to tell you. But Nick asked if he could post something. And I said, well, yeah, you can post anything you want to. I mean, if somebody posts something wrong, I'll delete it and maybe delete them. But I mean wrong. By wrong, I mean profane or argumentative or combative or snarky or rude or anything like that. But for the most part, I've never had a trouble with that on Patreon. So I said, yeah, please do. So he posted something, and it was so good and so important, I decided to post it as a standalone video on the Patreon channel. If you're there, make sure you watch it. I think, what's it called? It's called Bringing the War Home. And it is a very short 8-minute kind of a documentary on the Palestinian plan to essentially, destroy America. We are the great Satan. They want to. For those of you who don't know much about the Palestinians, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna get into it here. I could talk for a couple of hours on it, okay? But I'll just leave it at that. You can find it if you're not with us on Patreon. You can find it. Just look on YouTube. Bringing the War Home, I think, is the name of it. And if you're not aware of this stuff, you will be. Well, I don't know if you'll be shocked or not, but you'll certainly be educated, and you need to be educated. Now, let me ask you this. What are you worried about now? What war are you worried about? Are you worried about the Russia-Ukraine war? Are you worried about the China-Taiwan war? Are you worried about the Israeli-Iran war? Are you worried about Syria? Are you worried about the Houthis? What are you worried about? Okay. Well, you're worried about pretty much whatever, outlets want you to worry about. And that could be the government, it could be the news, the media, it could be different YouTube channels, whatever. Every day is something new to worry about, right? Well, why do they want you to worry about those things? I'll give you a second to think about that while I take a sip. Why do they want you to worry about that? Could it be, and as you know, to take your mind off of something else, the true danger that's right here in our country? Because that is the real war. All this stuff around the world, while it's good to keep track of, it is not enough to get wound around the axle about, okay? Europe has gotten us involved, or our leaders have gotten us involved in wars in Europe and in Asia in the past for their own purposes and to make money. If you've never read Smedley Butler's War is a Racket, I suggest you do. You ought to buy it. You ought to own a copy. It'll take you about an hour to read if you're a slow reader. Okay, he explains it. Every war since, well, I would say back before the Revolution, and even before that, I could make a case that every war in history has been about money. Okay, and who makes the money and who does the dying? I'll give you another second to think about that, because I'm drinking delicious Blackout Brutal Awakening coffee this morning that was sent to be by Mark Harrison down in Tennessee. Good morning, Mark. Thank you. And so who makes the money and who does the dying? I think that answer is pretty clear, right? The rich make the money and the poor do the dying. Not just the poor. I mean, there are plenty of people from all strata of society that join the military, that go to war, that die, and all that, you know, for any number of reasons. There's many reasons to do that, and many of them good. But those are wars that are not existential threats to us. I don't care what people tell you. Do you remember we had to go to war in Vietnam because of the domino theory, right? Well, if we let South Vietnam fall, boy, communism is just going to roar rampantly across Southeast Asia, and to an extent it did for a while. But you know what? Today, Vietnam is one of our great trading partners. I have clothes made in Vietnam. I bet you do too. Okay? And what happened? Well, LBJ and Linda Bird made millions of dollars, you know, pouring runways for air bases over there, and you know, they well, I won't get into that, but just follow the money. Follow the money to the Gulf War II, to Gulf War I before that. But we have a war right here in the United States that is existential, and it is the threat, the Palestinian threat, the threat of militant Islam. Now, there have been people for years who have been, you know, calling the warning on this. And I don't think most people pay any attention to it. And I don't think most people have any idea of the degree of danger it presents to us. The threat of militant Islam is probably, well, it's the thing about which I think most people should be specifically concerned. Why? Because they're here, and because they are doing it not just through the violence, but through politics. And they're doing it. They have the long plan. They play the long game. For the most part, we don't. Okay, we don't. We had a revolution, you know, a while back, and it's big won our so-called independence from Britain, only to make ourselves slaves to other countries around the world here recently. But we had that break, and then we all went back to work, didn't we? Now, I wasn't alive there. I don't think you were either. But the American people went back to work. The American people built a country. They did it through hard work. They did it well. On the back of this, that shows you how they did it. On the back of this mug, and this is one of our, I haven't made this available yet. I'm going to. And some of you have the mugs from the gathering. Axes, Bible, and Rifles. Okay. And we have t-shirts called the Bible, Axe, and Rifle, because the Bible's first. This country was built on the Bible. Axes meaning building, you know, cutting down the trees, building the trees, construction, and a rifle. How to provide for ourselves, how to support ourselves, and how to defend ourselves. So our country was built by people of courage and of strength and of determination, under the direction and according to the will of God. Simple as that. And if that offends anybody out there, that's your problem. You have a problem. Trust me. If that offends you, you have a problem. I'm sorry about it. I hope you get it fixed, and it will improve your life when you do get it fixed. Okay. But I don't apologize about saying any of this stuff. Matter of fact, the song that I put up today on the Patreon channel, and every day I start the day with something on the Patreon channel. It's kind of a getting started. Was "That Ain't Gonna Be Me" by Craig Morton and somebody else. Hang on, my neighbor's mowing his yard. I got to stop for a minute. But the threat of this enemy, deeply embedded in our society now and within our government, is real. And like I say, I think it's probably the greatest threat that we face. And it's going to it's already taken a foothold, and it's going to take a more solid foothold in the future for one reason, and that is because most Americans aren't aware of it, and most Americans won't do what it takes to stand up against it. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to finish my thought. The one that I put up today was "That Ain't Gonna Be Me" by Craig Morgan, and who's the other guy? The guy that sang "Badonkadonk." I really like him, and I can't believe I don't remember his name right now. But you just look it up on YouTube. "That Ain't Gonna Be Me," and listen to this song. Okay. Now, why this threat is working? They play the long game, and they are involved in politics. They are in our government. They are in our national government, but they are in our local governments and state governments big time up in Michigan and Minnesota, and you all know that. Matter of fact, in my books, I forget which book, one of the Stonemont series, I talk about the threat. After the collapse of everything, there's still a threat coming down from Minnesota. A Somali so-called warlord wants to establish a new caliphate here in America. Well, that's exactly what they want to do. And this might seem shocking to some of you all out there, so to some it won't. But some of us go, "What are you talking about, Steve?" And I said, "Well, why haven't you been paying attention?" Okay, they want to destroy this country. They want to burn this country. Then they want to establish an American caliphate. Another step while you think about that and what that means. Now here's the part that some of you, well, no, I'll tell you what you should do first, okay? And then I'll tell you the part that some of you are going to be uneasy about and you don't want to hear. First off, yes, you do need to prepare to defend yourself, because as they bring violence, and I talked about this yesterday, and this Sarah Adams that's all over the place, and I know a couple of people got really upset at me that I'm not all about her. Okay, well, I suppose you know more than she does. Well, I don't know. I don't know why she's doing this. I don't know why she's spouting this stuff up. I don't know who's directing her and talking about this. I don't know who is spreading her through YouTube. I don't know. But I will say this, that at the base, she is giving a good warning. Now, she says that they have planned a number of attacks coming up in 2025. That's what I talked about yesterday. Well, it would make sense. I don't know if that's true or not, but it would certainly make sense, as I said yesterday. If I had been in charge of those guys over there, I would have had stuff going on over here ever since 9/11. And I'll be honest with you, it would not be that hard. It would not. I don't care what people say. It would not be that hard. And it would shut this country down. Now, if they try those things, it very well may shut this country down, in which case your preparedness, meaning your ability to stay at home and be self-sufficient for however long it takes while this country's locked down, your ability to do that is what's going to see you through. The second thing, though, is, of course, your ability to protect yourself. What if you're in a situation like an October 7th attack? You're there with your family at a concert, whatever it is, and one of these October 7th attacks occurs. What are you going to do? Are you able to defend yourself? And that goes into a couple of areas. First off, do you have the tools that are needed to defend yourself? Secondly, do you have a plan? Do you have the mindset that will do that? That isn't going to go through that confusion and fear circle before you get to realizing how to deal with the problem? Do you have any experience at that? Do you have any training? Those two are different, okay? Training prepares you to learn from experience. Experience is best. If you don't have experience, at least training. At least think about these scenarios. What would you do when you go into say you're going to a big musical festival, like October 7th was, I think. Okay, if something happens, what are you going to do? What are you going to tell your family to do? I know there are some people that will say, well, I just don't go to places like that. I just don't go anywhere. Well, okay, that's your choice. That's not my choice. You do you. It's not my choice because I'm not going to keep this stuff from keep me from going to things that I want to go to. Now, I'm not a big crowd person. They don't particularly worry me. It's just that I'm not like that. But I'm not afraid to go. If I go, I'm ready. And you need to be too, so you need to think about it. When you go there, think about it. What if something happened over there? What if it happens for over there? What if it comes from a couple of different directions? What if it's a whole lot of people? Do you keep your family together? You better. You keep everybody together. Now, are there places where can you go that you could defend, that you could provide whatever safety there might be, in the event of attack? Are there concrete bathrooms there? Are there structures that you can go to and defend? Who else is in the crowd? And I don't just mean are there people in the crowd that are kind of dodgy looking. Who else in the crowd looks like they might think like you do, right? And might maybe have a little background like you do, or a little experience like you do, or at least the mindset that if something goes down, okay, I'm thinking, okay, that guy over there, I see him, I see the look in his eyes, I see how he's watching the crowd. That guy's going to be an ally, okay? And if it all goes down, I'm going to see if I can get his attention. We're going to see if we can, form up the wagons and put together some kind of defense. How about that guy? How about that guy? That guy's a weenie. The guy with the man bun and wearing the flip-flops. No, he's not going to be. Hey, if you have a man bun and wearing wear flip-flops, maybe you're the baddest dude around. You could be. I have an old student of mine who went recon. That was, he's kind of like that, and I'd want him on my side. But just think about those things. So can you make it through a lockdown? Can you defend yourself when you're out at one of these, whatever it is? And when you go out, can you defend yourself? Are you always ready? Semper paratus, always ready. Now here's the part that I think is going to make some people uncomfortable. After this, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about these books because they give you the whole plan. The part that's going to make a lot of people in the preparedness world uncomfortable is that the way you really defend against what's happening in our country, and the war has already started. It amuses me that so many people in the prepper world talk about being ready to rise up, being ready to defend, being ready to this, being ready to that, but they won't do what it really takes to change things, to turn these things around, and that is be politically involved. You know why? Any number of reasons. They just don't want to put in the effort. They don't want to spend the time. Maybe they're not sure of themselves. They don't know how to do it. I don't know. Half of them won't vote. Okay, they've given up. When you won't vote, when you won't participate in something, it means you've given up on it. That's sad. A lot of people in the preparedness world. I just saw a video. I haven't watched it, but it was a nice-looking young lady. It was entitled something like "I'm 39 and I don't want to be around people anymore" or something. I don't know. It kind of piqued my interest, and I did watch the first couple of minutes. She says, now I used to be gregarious and now I'm an introvert. Well, I think it's too easy. I think people have a tendency to put these labels on themselves, like, well, I'm this or I'm that. And then sometimes it becomes a fulfilling prophecy, and that, well, I'm this, so therefore I have to act like this. That's not it. You have to be able to interact with the world. You have to be able to. That's how you get along. That's how you make a living. That's how you get along with your neighbors. That's how you help people. You have to be able to function in the world. And withdrawal from something is not functioning within it. Okay, it's withdrawing from it. And too many people in the preparedness world, and I get it. There's a lot of people out there just kind of want to stay to themselves. I don't necessarily condemn that, because I went through a phase like that myself many years ago. It was kind of a peaceful life, to be honest, but I have kids, and I feel that I have a responsibility to my kids, my grandkids. Don't have any of those yet, but hopeful. I have a responsibility to future generations to do what I can to make sure that this ship of state stays afloat and stays on the right course, and we do that politically. So here's where I lose so many people, right, in the preparedness world. I don't want to be involved in politics. I'm not gonna vote. It's a selection, not an election. All these things that are just nothing more than excuses not to participate in a system, and that means not to take a stand. Okay? You're familiar with Edmund Burke's admonition. That's all that is necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing. And I've said this repeatedly. I say it in one of my books. It is my contention that in the face of evil, anyone who does nothing cannot call themselves good. Okay, so hop off that horse. This horse is of aloofness. So I'm too good to be a part of this. Well, that's what it's going to take, because the enemy within is working politically. They always work politically. If you want to see what America is going to look like in 5 years, look at the UK. And finally, European countries are starting to respond to this danger of Islamic immigration coming into their country and the many problems that it's caused. They're finally turning around and addressing it. Far too late. Now, I don't know if they'll be able to turn their countries around. They're going to have a hard time. It's going to take a long time. There's already a lot of dead people that have suffered. A lot of people who have suffered from death or other things, or attacks, or rapes, or gang rapes, and grooming, and all this kind of stuff. And you know why that was allowed to happen is because because people did not step in and have an effect on their government. So you want to be in a fight, there's a fight. Here, all these people that, wear their black t-shirts with "I will stand up" and everything, like, okay, well, time to stand up, guys. The way to fight this is to be involved in the political process, starting with local and on there. But don't do that instead of preparing. Don't do that instead of making sure that you can provide security and safety for your family and those who depend on you. Do that in addition. Because the enemy is here. The war that you need to be concerned about is here, and you need to be real concerned. Okay, watch that video. Now, I've been aware of this for a long time. I remember the days of Yasser Arafat and Black September and all of those things back when well, I can't even use the T word, can I? But I remember the days. I've been following this for a long time. New people in the IDF, and got my first kind of inkling of what was going on from then. This was back in the 70s, early 70s, 74, 75, something like that, 76. When was the Yom Kippur War? I don't know. It was sometime back then. So anyway, the war is here. You need to be ready. You need to be aware of it. and you need to get ready for it. And you need to stand up and do something for your country, for our country, for your future, the future of your children and your grandchildren. And staying out of it is doing nothing. Those people are the ones Edmund Burke was talking about, okay? All right. Hey, I'll give you another word about these books. I want to tell you something. Now, you want the complete plan for how to prepare for, survive, and rebuild after a total collapse of everything. This is it. If you haven't read them, this should be the next thing you do. Currently 7 books: The Reversion, The Revival, The Renewal, An Appeal to Heaven, The Blessings of Freedom, Hostages to Fortune, and On Wings Like Eagles. People have told me it has completely changed the way they prepare. I answer things in here that you've never even thought the questions for. And you'll love the story. You'll forget that you're learning because you'll love the story so much. People have read through the whole series 5 times and still learning, still seeing things they didn't catch the first 4 times through because they were just following the story. Now, the 2 ways to get them: Amazon has them; they'll get them to you pretty quick. That link's down below. Just put in this. Just go to that link; it'll take you. Or you can get them directly from me. That's a better way. I like it more when you do it like that, because then I get to sign them for you and write a note in there to you, and we're able to sell the whole set. You can't get the whole set as a set through Amazon, but you can through us. And when you order the entire set, which is, I'd say, over 90% of people do it that, then we give you a discount because it costs us less in packaging, handling, and postage and all that. So we pass that savings on to you. And I throw in the Stonemont notebook, which I love. I use mine all the time. It's a good thing to write all the lessons that you'll learn in there, and your shopping list if you'd like, whatever. The one thing about these is that I don't get them to you that quick. We're currently waiting on a shipment coming in. I already have orders backed up, and a lot of them I had to put in a second order to piggyback right coming after that first order we have coming in on the 20th. And because we just have so many orders. I thank the good Lord for that, for the success of the series, for the books and all of that, and I thank Him for the people that's been able to help. But if you buy them through me, and I hope you do, be prepared to wait a few weeks. We'll get them to you as fast as we can, but we keep running out, and we'll order them. So, it says on the website, delivery in 5 to 7 days. No, not now, not anymore. They're just selling too fast. So I love it when you buy it through me. Just be willing to wait a little bit, okay? So think about this. Take this seriously. Don't blow it off. Don't let yourself be diverted into all of these other things, whether it's Russia, Ukraine, or China, Taiwan, or Iran, Israel, or anything else, okay? What gold is doing, what Bitcoin is doing. Hey, these are all things that, may be interesting and may have an indirect impact, but they are not the existential threats of what I have talked about here. Be ready, study it, learn more about it, and prepare for it, okay? All right. Well, that's it for today. I hope you all have a good one. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. By the way, this year's gathering, Integrative Preparedness Stonemont Gathering, is going to be October 4th in the Kansas City area. Mark that on your calendar. Come out and be a part of it. You'll love it. You'll meet some great people, and I'll get soon as I give the okay. I told them I want the color changed on this. As soon as I get the colors the way I want them on this mug, this will be available. Also on our website. Not available yet. Got to get things right. I don't like putting things out until they're right. All right. Y'all have a good day. We prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. So get out there and do it. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.